What is up, CSGs? Welcome to another episode of the Rockets Chop Shop Pod. We got our Houston Rockets winning 2 games in a row. We are 2-2 right now. Beat the Toronto Raptors 139-121. Pretty good game, ups and downs. We'll talk about that a little bit and some overall things. Just glad to get on the win column if you're a Rockets fan. Obviously, the season, you're going to know it's going to take some time. It's going to be clunky. There's going to be different phases of this team trying to figure out who they really are, trying to develop an identity. There are some things that I'm seeing that makes this a totally different team from last year. And you saw it in the first half of this game, the defense. The defense was crazy. Let me see. So in the first half, we gave up damn near 70 points, if I'm not mistaken. We gave up damn near 70 points in the first half of the game. It was pretty nasty work from the Rockets on defense. Yeah, 70. It was 70-63 at halftime. That's not really our identity. It hasn't been our identity for the time that Ime Udoka's been here. Obviously, you love the offense that's able to score. I'll talk about that a little bit as well. But I think the defense, I just want to, overall, to me, the defense suffering is a lot to do with the personnel that we've lost in these trades and injuries, right? You think about the Rockets team last year, our starting five for most of the possessions was Fred, Dylan, Jalen, Şengün, and Jabari. That was our main starting five, a decent starting five that was a plus for most of the season and had a pretty decent defense, not a great offense in that starting five. And you know, one of the reasons that starting five was such a great defensive team was because of the physicality that you got from Fred and Dylan, right? If you watch the Toronto game today, a lot of their guys were real comfortable, man. A lot of their guys were just hitting shots like they were at practice. Even when we had on-ball defenders, not really a lot of touching, not a lot of body checking like we would see how teams are playing Kevin Durant right now. We're doing a lot of just kind of giving guys too much space. And this is a symptom of kind of, you know, the young defenders that we have on the team right now. You think Jabari a lot having to guard players. He can't really hug up too much because his foot speed isn't great. So he's probably afraid more of getting drove on. Amen Thompson, when he gets too physical, he fouls. If he's off and trying to cut off guys, he's kind of all over the place right now. Even Tari Eason is a little bit off right now. But that old veteran savvy physicality that Fred and Dylan brought is really missing from this team. And obviously Jalen, I think what Jalen brought was a athletic and the foot speed that he brought in order to play some of the coverages that we play, whether it was some of the zone coverages that we're seeing now. Now, you replace the team we have now, the players we have from then with the players we have now, our starting five changing from week to week or game to game. Josh Okogie, you know, a decent defender. I would say he's probably a good on-ball defender, not a great when it comes to length and athleticism. So you saw some of that get exploited today with Brandon Ingram. Decent foot speed, I think. But when he's in the game, we really play a lot of kind of man coverage where we're able to blitz and trap and do other things like that. Not really focused on the zone coverage that we played some last year with the starters. Same thing for Kevin Durant. Provides length, but not the athleticism is lacking, right? So, and the reason athleticism is and physicality is important is because the physicality allows you to be able to play our base defense where you can get physical and throw a Dylan Brooks on to Brandon Ingram. And even though he may go 5 of 5, in those 5 of 5, he might get fouled 3 times. He might get hit in the ribs a couple times. And over time, that cumulative effect of that level of physicality on defense wears on basketball players, right? And you lose the Fred VanVleet, who's the same kind of player. Fred is very physical, a very stout guard that's able to kind of get his body into you. So not having that physicality, having a less athletic starting five, it does make us a little more susceptible to certain perimeter actions. What it does help us in is on the inside, right? We've been mostly, for the most part, I think OKC or no, Detroit, one of those teams might have been the only team that out-rebounded us. But for the most part, the Rockets have been out-rebounding their opponents. And we destroyed the Raptors on rebounds 53-22, which is crazy. There was no way they were going to win that game. So the rebounding, you give up lateral mobility for elite rebounding, which we already had, and you kind of see where it falls in. I think regardless of what they do, as far as when it comes to how they want to play. That perimeter defense and guarding guards and wings has to get better. That has to get better, and I think it will. Obviously, it's going to take time with the communication, the switching, and what type of coverages, and the getting used to your personnel. I think Dorian Finney-Smith coming back is going to help a hell of a lot. You replace Okogie in the starting line. You put DFS in there. You're going to lose some of the ability to guard certain perimeter players, but what he does offer is length and some of the spacing that he brings. So he's going to be a key piece for this team to really push us to the next level. I think KD is what he is. I think KD provides some weak side shot blocking. You saw that nasty block he had. He provides some good contested length that he could throw on different players. But, as far as like just being a lockdown defender, he's not. He's not a bad defender. He's not a good defender. He's just meh. I think DFS is going to help. I still think they're missing a guard, a perimeter defender that is a point guard or a smaller player that you could put as a POA defender on some of these players that we see, allow a man to play off ball. So that's to me is what a lot of the issues are. But in the aggregate, because the half-court offense is doing so good right now, we tend to just outscore teams in the long run. Having a reliable shooter helps, right? Kevin Durant being on the team really does help. Let's see. I think he basically sleepwalked because he started off the game pretty bad. In this game, he basically sleepwalked into just like 20-something points. Let me look at the stats here. KD had 31 points on 19 shots, right? That's 57% from the field, 62% from the free throw line, which is uncharacteristic of him. Shot 50% from three, going 4 of 8. And it didn't even look natural, like he was pressing. It just looked like he was missing shots, making shots. You look up, he got 30 points. So that this alone, and no shot at Jalen Green. Jalen brought a lot of great stuff for us. He did a lot of great things for us. This alone, the fact that you have such an efficient scorer, and I think he led the team in field goal attempts with he did. Yeah, he led. It was KD, Jabari, and then Amen led the team with field goal attempts. 19 shots for KD, 11 to 19. That efficiency alone turns your offense from being bottom third in the league to a top 10 offense. And the reason I said this, now you guys know I'm not a Jalen Green hater, but I do understand what his deficiencies were on the team. The fact that your highest volume scorer, it was a inefficient player, is never a good recipe for a good offense. That the guy that took the most shots on your team cannot be a bad shooter or an inefficient shooter, or at least he has to be right at league average or slightly above average. And if you're going to be one of those guys that's a high volume, non-efficient guy, you got to do more than just score. You got to be a passer. James Harden was able to average 30 at league average. It worked because he did it in such a consistent manner. Plus, he was one of the best facilitators in the league as well. So those type of players that are just volume scorers, if they are not doing other things, and I've said this a million times, you got to do two things, it really makes it hard. So having Kevin Durant in a half-court set where he can just be a 50, 40, 90 guy, 50, 40, 80 guy on a night-to-night basis with what we already did is a super upgrade for this team when it comes to scoring, right? It is just a super upgrade for the roster. I think that his play so far, I've liked it. He's not doing too much. He's not trying to like backpack the team. He's not, he's not really forcing the issue yet. And you don't want him doing that this early on in the season. You want to wait closer to the playoffs as we ramp up, where you want him to really see a lot of those like forced looks. One thing I will say about the way he's getting the ball, I do not like it. I feel like they're making it way too hard on him. I would like them to use more motion with Kevin Durant. I would like them to use more intentionality with their screening. I don't like how they're screening for him, and that's especially for between him and Şengün. I think Şengün needs to also screen better for him to get him shots rather than slipping the screen so easily to set up him making shots. But that's a two-man chemistry that they're going to have to learn, because you got to set up one to make the other work. Like, teams aren't going to have to do a do-or-die choice where they got to pick KD or Şengün unless Şengün actually screens for him and allows KD to be able to generate some film of him scoring off of those looks. And once that starts happening, then you start playing off of that. That two-man game, it really has to, like I said, it's really perimeter driven by the ball handler. So we'll see about that. I think the rest of the team, I mean, this game did pretty good. Jabari had a pretty good game, 25 points. I loved his aggression, taking a lot of better shots, wasn't trying to do too much, not trying to facilitate or do pick and rolls or weird things that he's done. Just take your shots, bro. You can still score on a given night 20, 25 points, 15 points just by living in the context of the offense, right? Hitting your kickouts and doing everything else that you need to do. Steven Adams, great 12-12 game for him. Was a monster on the boards. Obviously, the Raptors were undersized tonight. Pirtle was hurt. So this was a game that obviously playing big, it fell right into our hands. Amen, 18 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. All around a good game for him. I think he started off a bit kind of clunky, a little bit slow, but picked up as the game went on. I still think he needs to find his defensive footing. I've not liked his defense this season so far. So we'll give him time to warm up to that. I want him to be a perennial all-defensive player. So far, he hasn't played like it, so we'll see about that. Alperen Şengün, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, played more of the role of a facilitator. The Raptors were intent on doubling him when he made his move in the post. So he'll post up. Once he turned to make a move, you'll see the late double come, and he was doing a great job facilitating out of that and being patient, which is what you expect from him. Team high plus 24. Efficiency-wise, 6 of 8. So a very efficient game. 5 of 8 from free throws for 62%, which isn't super great, but, pretty decent. 1 of 2 from threes. Is that three-pointer real? I don't know. That is going to be something that I'm going to keep an eye on. If it's real, then it changes the game for him. I think he's played a great, I see in the 4 games, 3 out of the 4 games, the Pistons games, he pressed a little bit more than I wanted. I feel like he was rushing a lot. And then when he wasn't rushing, he was being too soft in that game. Just didn't like the physicality. But I think in this game, he played a perfect game that you want to see. Tari Eason has been much better. I made a tweet on about Tari Eason and his impact on the team. I think that if he's a player that is playing bad, the Rockets are going to suffer because and he might be low-key one of the most important players on the team because if you're going to have holes at the guard position, both point guard and shooting guard, because even though they have KD as the nominal shooting guard, he's not a shooting guard. We know that, right? He's a forward. So you having that player that's able to facilitate as a ball handler, that's able to, not great, but it's better than nothing. Having that player that's able to stretch the floor as a three-point shooter. Having that player that's able to be a defensive stopper that you can throw on another scorer from the other team. Having that player that's able to be a rebounder and push in transition. Having that player be bad is not good for the Rockets, especially when that one player has to plug multiple holes. Tari is likely one of the most important players on the team, not because he's that great, just because the roster construction is just that poor when it comes to some of the like I said, the guard play, that he needs to be good for us. We need him. We need him to be a good backup facilitator, backup ball handler when he comes in. We need him in certain lineups to be a great shooter. At the end of the day, we just need bro to be who he's always been, right? That analytics darling that once he steps on the court, he's a plus 1,000. He's making plays, getting tip passes, running transition, though sometimes has a bit of CTE. But at the end of the day, he's always a positive. And that's what we need from Tari. And if he's doing that, then this team really has a higher upside. Today for him, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. That's all you need from him. He was a plus, not the greatest plus minus, a +4 in the game. But ultimately, that's really what you can ask for, that he's a positive in these minutes that he's playing. So, that was good for him to see. Reed Sheppard is improving steadily. I think that his minutes have been, you just hold your breath and pray we don't lose a lead because you can watch him. You're watching him develop in real time. I think the reps are going to help him out a lot. I've reserved to the fact that he's going to be a great, in this year for sure. I'm okay with him being the backup point guard, the backup, whatever you want to call him. I don't think that right now he should be on ball as a in the way that they would use like a Fred or any other dominant ball handling guard, right? I like how they're using him now. Just bring the ball up the court and give it to the other guy, right? Bring the ball up the court, find KD or Şengün and move out the way, space the floor. Reed at this point in his career should be used as a floor spacer and a secondary ball handler in a half court. He does not need to be a super initiator. I love the aggression when he gets downhill and penetrates the defense. I'd love to see his passing get that improves a little bit. The shooting, I don't care. Just keep shooting. If he's a good shooter, it'll even out in the aggregate. But I don't need him to be James Harden. I just need you to be just competently dribble the ball up the court and find one of the good players, and then go be ready to hit this three when it comes to you, bro. That's basically it. That's basically it. That's all he needs to do. Doesn't need to do nothing more, nothing less. And I think if he can be a positive as a shooter and a competent ball handler that doesn't turn the ball over, then he's going to be fine. And while he's doing that, he can learn the other aspects of the game, like defense, which he struggles at. If you notice, the Rockets go to a zone when he's on the court, because one thing you do not want to do is try to play one-on-one defense with Reed Sheppard. A lot of times he's going to end up being food. So they go to the zone where he's able to use some of his hands and his IQ and all his abilities that he does have that are positives for him. You saw some of it flash in this game. He can use that. Now, he's not the greatest when it comes to reading the defense, even in the zone. He's still learning. Obviously, he's not a rookie, but he's still a young player that needs a lot of the repetition. His minutes right now are going to be rough a lot of games, especially against good teams. So, but I think Ime is doing a good job so far. Let me see what his minutes look like. Bro only had 7 points, had 5 rebounds, 1 assist. He had 18 minutes. That's about right. He should get between 15 to 20 minutes in a game, depending on how he's playing. If he's playing bad, it'll be closer to 15. If he's playing better, you can bump it up to 20. When DFS comes back, those minutes may go down, may stay the same because he is a ball handler and we need him. But so far, I've liked some of the development that I've seen from him. He has a long way to go. I would say that if we were playing a playoff caliber team, you probably won't see a lot of Reed Sheppard in some of the closing minutes or any crucial times in the game. I can almost say that with certainty. I think offensively, the team is really still trying to figure it out as much as, how many points that they're scoring right now. I think the rebounding opportunities, I haven't dug into the numbers yet. I usually like to wait to the first 5-game sample size, and I'll probably look at some of the analytics and efficiency numbers for the team at that point. But just from watching the games, I think a lot of our second chance opportunities are allowing us to score. I feel like our half-court offense gives you, as ugly as it does give you a lot of different riddles to try to solve between Kevin Durant, between Alp, between what Amen can do off the dribble, between the shooting that Jabari provides and some of the penetration we get for some other guys, and just the hustle and rebounds that our players bring. It makes it really hard to pick one thing that you want to stop. You could try to stop Şengün, but that opens up the swings for the shooters. And whether we're hitting them or not, it's still a threat for it to happen, because you could be the team that we get hot on. So, and if you try to trap Durant, you're opening up Şengün to work going downhill. So I think we're finally starting to see some things work out. It's still very ugly. It's still not creative. I still think that's a blind spot in Ime Udoka's coaching, his lack of offensive creativity. But I'm still going to give them time. Like I told you guys, this team is going to be one that is going to be a work in progress probably till about December. Now, we don't want them losing games into December, right? While you're working, you can still win. Beat the bad teams. Every bad team should be a blowout, and just try to go 500 against the teams that are good, right? And then once you hit your stride, then you can make a push for it. Once, you get close to the end of December, January, that's usually how it works. We've seen this movie before. I've talked about it before. So those are the things you're going to look at. It's just the micro development. Just like with any major trades that happen, remember, we've lost 60% of our starters from last year. So it's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some adjustment to people knowing where they fit in. Where do I get the ball? Who's going to take this shot? When do I get to take a shot? When do I come in? And Ime also has to figure out his lineups. So a lot of these things is just a matter of timing and rhythm for the players. But it's going to work itself out. I think the Rockets are still going to be a top 3 seed in the West. I still think even with the injury to Fred VanVleet, if they can make a move to get a guard, then they could be pushing for, a conference finals. I believe that the team is that good. And I believe the defense will get much better than it's looked. You see flashes and stretches when they need to lock down. It's really the defensive issues a lot of time come to personnel that Ime allows on the court. And I'll say allows because he knows when he wants to reel it back in, he'll pull certain guys off and then put in the right lineups to kind of squeeze down on the defense. So it's some of the stuff that you see from every coach in every sport. They're kind of delayed in when they make adjustments, and they're going to give guys a long rope to before they start tightening it up. I'm actually fine with that he is letting a lot of players play because in this game, let's see, we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-man rotation. I'm cool with that. You don't want to tax these guys so early. I feel like some of the issues we had against Golden State was due to that. Our players being tired and then playing heavy minutes and the style of basketball we play. So the more bodies, the better. And so if we're doing 9-man rotations, we'll probably get to 9.5, which is for most good teams, that's what you want in the regular season. You don't want to be a 7.5-man rotation for the whole season. That's just not feasible. It means your roster sucks. So when DFS comes back, then that's going to be another body. You may see Capella's minutes go down a little bit. You may see Reed's minutes go down a little bit, but ultimately those guys are going to play because they offer needs that the team currently has. But the team is, they're trending up. I like what I see with the offense. The defense needs a lot of work. You hope that they fix that. It's there. Like I said, it's just a more of a lineups thing than anything. I'm curious to see what these numbers are going to look like after the 5th game. So we'll talk about that when it gets there. Appreciate y'all for coming through. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you also subscribe to the channel so you can get great content from the Chop Shop. Keep rocking with us. And we're going to keep dropping that